Hello everyone, hello one and all. This time around we're going to talk about censorship with a very special guest. I would like everyone to welcome Flare Wolf. Insect applause effect here. Okay, that's enough. Flare Wolf, tell us about yourself.
Hi, and thank you for inviting me to do this video with you guys. I'm Flarewolf, and I make gaming videos similar to Peanut Gamers. I do reviews, gameplays, let's plays, and let's talk, and that's pretty much it.
Oh, that was interesting. So what are you gonna talk about today?
We are going to be talking about censorship and the general view of video games on media. I am Lol Forever, if you didn't already know, and this guy's Smooth Lemon. Let's go on. Okay, so Flair, you had some questions to make. Please elaborate.
Alright. Censorship nowadays is almost focused on sex-related themes. Violence is far more tolerable in video games rating system, like let's say ESRB. What would you consider the truth behind this as a general social behavior in video game industry?
So, generally speaking, violence is tolerated more in every media. And for me, the main reason is that in general, every media needs to keep the masses entertained, however, do not give them the freedom to say anything and anything they might desire. So, showing off in any kind of media, nudity or sex related themes is not acceptable in the sense that humans will not react well to it. Like, they are fine with their kids watching viscera flying all over the place, watching people get murdered and mass genocides and all that kind of nonsense. However, sex is not fine because it does not awake anything inside you other than the desire for sexuality.
Yeah, it's basically on human nature. Seeing stuff that's not very nice, like seeing people die horrible ways, it makes you angry and kinda makes you wanna hate something.
So, Smooth, any questions on your side there?
Yeah, how effective actually is censorship?
First of all, I totally agree with this. Rating systems are more focused on sex-related themes than violence, and I think that's because they know that younger kids today are always exposed to violence, like they can see it on TV and stuff. So they want to prevent them from seeing something related to sex. But I'm not sure how effective is that because of the internet.
Internet is way too free for them, right?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
Media is trying to shut it down, but then there's internet. Freedom. Freedom to do whatever you want in
And
some places.
And
yes, you
also,
can
you
find whatever you want.
you have to admit that the freedom that the media like television or like newspapers trying to prevent or pretentiously hide from young kids, you have to admit like all of those young kids do have the freedom and time to actually spend watching television they shouldn't be watching, and this is a reason they see violence in general. Like, I
Yeah.
personally think that TV shouldn't be displaying violent programs at a certain time zone.
Actually, violence is a way to get people do what you want. It's basically a way of manipulating people, making them see violence. It makes them more vulnerable to that. So whenever they see violence in real life, they're like, I've seen that before and stuff like that.
And that could also, like, okay, we're not talking about small kids playing video games, as is kind of out of subject.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
And
generally.
like, this is kind of pretentious because the internet does know that it does not have to hide anything or pretend to
Yes.
be anything other than it actually is. It does not take whoever uses it as someone that does not have the ability and need of a free willed search. Like, views in mass media, and one might say even governments, that do not take whoever is trying to consume or live within them as an adult. I think that those media are going to be having this censorship issue for quite a while. Like, Australia, for example, has been constantly banning and refusing games to release on their continent just because of the way that it works. But the thing is that it's actually a democracy, and it's like not taking your citizens as adults. Like, you're not letting them take their own choices.
Yeah, you basically force them to do stuff that you want them to do, but just because you don't think it's good.
Okay, I will be making the second question. Okay, so Do games like Saints Row or GTA or any other violent open world game need to be censored? And if so, why do you think that would be a proper way to deal with them?
These games kind of have something in common. They're like super free. When I'm talking super free, I'm talking about very sexually and violently free. Meaning you can actually do practically anything. These kind of games like to get violence over the top. They focus on that because kids actually want to do stuff because they feel like they're badasses or something. But it's not always kids that play those games. Like there are many adults that also play, and they don't think that violence is an answer to anything. And what the fuck am I talking about?
Well,
And
actually, if you have to say something, is that kids shouldn't be playing those games.
yeah,
Like they are rated mature. They like you should not let a 12-year-old play
yeah, that's
GTA.
what I'm
Like
trying to say.
fuck
Yeah,
off.
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but it happens.
Yeah, it happens because of bad parenting. I am
Yes.
going to be blaming the parents for this one, and also the market.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
market just
obvious.
is a huge impact.
like for me, when you say that something like Manhunt Hatred is AO, while something like GTA 5 is M rated, like why is there a difference in the context of violence? Okay, I get it that in GTA you do not have like you're not encouraged to murder and so on, while on Hatred, like say something like Hatred, you're just doing it for the sole purpose of doing it. But like
Yeah.
Postal isn't like something like that. On Postal, you just must murdering people and it's still got a mature rating.
Though it has a introduction that says if you want to, you can make it as violent as you want.
Well, I think you can play Postal without violence.
Yeah, that's what
You
I
have
said.
like tasks that you need to do, so you
Yeah,
don't have to murder
get
anyone.
yeah, get milk, return a book you
Yeah,
want.
well, you mean you're talking about Postal 2?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you're talking about Postal 2. There's a difference because I'm talking about the original Postal. The
Oh,
Postal 2 was also kind of a parody game. Like, it was a sarcastic experience that was clearly not serious and not meant to be played seriously. While Postal, the original, was just
Well,
a
it's not.
downright murder
It's
game.
not played. It's not played seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna call in stupid on that. Okay, maybe we went off subject again. So I hope we're being helpful here. I think we are having a generally good analysis.
Or at
So
least informative.
informative,
Yeah.
yes, mainly informative. Okay, go ahead and
third and last question. Usually games on Steam get censored when few things are displayed. However, patches can be downloaded to override this and display the original artworks. Under those games mostly fall Japanese games. Those games have a tendency to include sex scenes and such, something that has been universally accepted that Japanese games do. Why is Japan a country generally stuck to the past with lots of remnants of ideals that do not follow the modern world? Okay, with this kind of thing, while we're stuck in time where games are not allowed to imply that kind of thing.
So I believe that Japan is like that because it has been stuck with it. How do you call it when men rule over women?
you could just call it sexist.
Yeah, because they have a culture that in the past allowed the men to be more powerful than women. And women were at the super low category of people. They were like items. Yeah, more like.
Well, the thing is that every country had that.
No, not every country.
No, every
Many
country.
countries like Greece.
No, we didn't.
Uh,
We did consider women as items as well.
yeah, but we enabled them to go to places like the Olympics. Don't forget that.
Yeah, we did, but still, we did not consider them as strong as men did. And also, Japan had actually a certain respect about women, something that we did not have to the certain like level. Like, if we go full on historical here, the Minoans were like the only community that accepted women and considered women higher in the hierarchy than men were because they were this is just how it was actually. I do not have any explanation for that how whatsoever. However, considering the Greece of the 10th century and so on, and basically the whole world on the 10th century and so on, it was basically men just being downright more powerful in the society, in the hierarchy of the society, and how it worked
And
than
that's
women.
because men fought in the wars and women didn't.
Well,
Men win
it
wars.
was it was mainly because of the fact that one religion, like every religion, had some way to imply that men Like even Christians are well, supposedly women's are the same as men, which is not true in Christian religion because there are many places and examples that one can bring up, but at the moment this is not the conversation we're having, so we are kind of wasting time that way. So anyway, I'm sorry for the for the interruption. So go on. This I'm
Um,
just saying that this is not
all I'm
actually
all
true.
I'm all I'm trying to say is that their old culture led them to believe that women were lower than men, and that way they are not so keen into making equality into the two genders. That's all I'm trying to say, basically.
Um, Flair, do you have anything to say about it before I start ranting?
Well, I don't really know how to answer this one. I guess they are used to that kind of stuff in their games, so they don't mind it. And if something works, don't change it. Well, here that kind of things work differently because of the censorship.
Well, you do have censorship as well. They this is why tentacle porn was even a thing because Japan, like in Japanese porn, there cannot be displayed the human or female, the human. Yeah,
Genetic parts.
yeah, you cannot display them. This is why tentacle porn was a thing. So the censorship is not actually what I'm going for here. What I personally think that is a thing, and which this is true, is that Japanese people have generally, because of the way that the community is set up and the way that they consider humans or even 2D models to be actual people. Like there are many weeaboos, so to speak. Well, actually, not weeaboos, but otakus, so to speak, on Japan or Korea or whatever that endorse and adore idols that are not real humans. And even if they are real humans, they just get to adore them as a picture, as a general persona, not a real human. So this is a reason why, for fan service purposes, this might be a thing. And not to mention that Japan generally has an old relationship with sex culture. Like it's kind of weird to talk about it, and I don't want to dwell
Yeah, let's not
really.
get into that
Yeah, I don't. I
details.
really do not want to dwell deep into that, but it's mainly a thing that is caused by the way that they have dealt with sex and the way that they have dealt with relationships between men and women. But it's not mainly because they consider women lower at the past, because that every country did that. Let's be frank. But it's just something that it's the negative is that we in Europe are not as okay as they are. But the reasons we should be okay are different than theirs. The reason
We
we
are
should be okay is because we're adults. We can fucking decide what we want ourselves. We do not want anyone babysitting us. And Steam has market dominance, and that means that they have,
responsibility.
yeah, they have a responsibility against their customers. And I kind of consider BS the whole idea we do not sell AO games. I actually consider it lots of BS, but hey, sorry.
Well, it certainly seems someone has been informed, and
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
I
me.
think I'm most assuredly like many people haven't even heard those ideas before, so I'm glad they even bothered.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Okay, go ahead. Now let's move to the questions about media and
Okay.
the views on games.
So yeah, how does censorship help games develop faster?
How does censorship help games develop faster? Well, that's an easy one, but I'm gonna let Flair do the work for me.
Let me think. Just a second, please.
Sure. I do not want to get be biased against your opinion, so that's why I'm not talking.
So, how does the censorship help games develop faster?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the reason to use it?
I think like this: if some game gets censored because of too much violence, explicit content, and it gets published, media is probably going to talk about it. Like this is bad for kids. They're probably
It's
going
going to
to.
get controversy over it.
Yes,
This is
yes, that's what
true.
I'm trying to
It's
say.
gonna get the media all over, swarm all over it.
Yes, and then the game that's censored, that gets the media attention, gets even more attention from gamers. Like they think it's not that bad because a lot of bad games are already on market, and that's why I think that censorship helps games develop faster, get more
Develop,
attention.
but yeah, I was about to say, did you mean develop as in develop the game, or develop as in build up attention and get
Yes,
well
I
known?
mean I
This
mean,
is no,
build up.
it's more like this is not a really specific question. I kind of messed up on it.
Oh, yeah, that's my fault. I meant the develop an audience.
Oh, okay. Because you can say develop and just downright mean develop, like develop faster.
Yeah, I know.
That would be weird, but I wanted to answer that because for me to
You
develop.
want to answer anything?
Yeah, of course I do. It's a show that you talk about shit. Of course I want to answer shit. What the fuck?
Well, that's my answer. I think
Yeah,
that's
Okay,
how
I'm sorry.
that's
censorship help
that's
games to
a really
develop.
good answer for like one
Yeah,
minute thought.
I mean, I'm 100% sure that this is perfectly fine, and I'm not being sarcastic, and I'm not being a dick, which is odd. So appreciate it. Okay, so last question, shall we? Like every new form of media, there's an off-part period for it that all other media curse it for everything that goes wrong to society. It has not been long since we saw school shootings, violent acts, and other horrible things that we simply cannot describe being played at video games. However, by now that time should be over. And others should start accepting that video games are a part of the society's media, considering the growth of the interest they has shown about now. What do you think that is the main issue, and what is not being the case? Why are not games media being accepted yet? And also games themselves, not just media. Why do they keep blaming and find video games a scapegoat for the mass media sources? Okay.
I think that main issue is that people look at video games as something made for kids or something made not to be taken seriously or just for entertainment. But video games became art and they should be a part of media. Now, why do they blame it on video games? Well, I think that's because of the violence presented in video games and lack of informations.
Holy shit, I could have said it better myself. Holy fucking shit.
That was the
That
best
was
answer, I think.
amazing.
That was short and like it had everything.
So personally, other than what obviously Flair described, I do consider like the world society is not stable at the moment. The moral crisis, as well as the historical and intelligence, one may say, but that would be mean crisis that the world is going over under now, which is just a big result of the economical crisis leads the media to need to find scapegoats. Those scapegoats need to be easy, need to have small communities. However, gaming is not, it's no longer small. It's kind of weird, really. They need scapegoats to curse everything that the capitalistic system has made happen and made possible. Because you see, people are no longer in their right minds. Like everything you might consider normal nowadays. So if you go like 10 years back, you may find like what we do now in life, and you'd be like, what the fuck? People are preying on their phones and not talking to each other. People are not reading physical books and they're reading on a tablet. What the hell is this bullshit? Like, yeah, we have kind of went over the top as a society in general, and scapegoats need to be found from the mass media sources in order to find a reason not to blame the system that pays them and makes them what they are, since they cannot be trusted, but people trust them because they are dumbed down by them. You see, when you hear so many times that something is right, no matter what you think it's wrong, you might actually start believing it's right. This is what I consider to be the truth, so to speak, or my
Yeah,
personal analysis.
I agree. It makes sense.
And here's the last question. How could you make censorship better?
How could you make censorship better? For me, it would be if censorship wasn't forced to you. If an options menu existed that said, like, do you want to censor this or do you want the uncensored version?
Like Call of Duty 6 with a Russian part.
Yes, exactly. This is the perfect thing. You want to censor out the shit that you might be sensitive to? Sure, you have to click this button and you will not see
Yeah,
any of it. I think that censorship should not be forced. Censorship should be rudimentary and
I think it should be an option on games
yeah,
like.
optional.
yes, yes. Well, you could skip the mission on Call of Duty 6
Yeah,
in the
that's what
airport.
I'm talking about. That's exactly
It's
what I'm talking
optional.
about.
You can play if you want to.
Yes, I think that was the only way. Also, if the games media did not go all ham about it, that would be perfect. That would be amazing. But okay, that's all I am actually going to have to say.
Well, yeah, I do agree with you guys that censorship should be optional thing. If you're sensitive to some material, to some content, you should be able to choose if you want to get censored, or you want to see that content that may be offensive to you. So I think that's the only way that censorship could get better without banning the games from countries and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's not gonna bring popularity to games. That's only gonna bring hatred. There are countries that ban certain games that shouldn't be. Like, did Australia ban MK or something? I think I've heard something like that. Some
Well,
country
they
banned.
banned Saints Row 4
Yeah,
and
That
they got their own version
Australia?
of it. Yeah, before Saints Row 4 was released, they banned it, and then it got censored for Australian version of the game.
Oh, yeah. Okay, okay. I recall that. It was a big thing at the time, wasn't it?
Yes,
Okay, sure. I recall that. Good. I'm glad. I'm glad I'm actually up to date. I really am. Okay, so shall we close this off with a bam? No, we shall not, because that would be bad, because one of us would have to die. Okay, so thanks everyone for watching. This has been Peanut Gamers with Flairwolf. Flairwolf, thank you much for being with us,
thank you for inviting me to this video with you guys.
and we will be glad to do this again.
yeah.
Okay, so has been Peanut Gamers.
Signing out.
Next. This is getting cut out. This is getting cut out.
No, this is getting on the blooper scene.
Yeah,
What?
I might as well. Japan.
Third and last question.
Fuck,
Third and last question.
fuck.
Third and last question.
Come on, fuck off. This is bullshit. I'm gonna call in bullshit.
You're gonna call in bullshit, I'm gonna call in an airstrike. So, yeah.
Fuck off. And then strike obviously stronger than bullshit because
Yeah.
if you get hit by bullshit, you happen not to die. This is so not getting cut. This is getting on the bloopers page.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Wolf, what do you want? Do you enjoy this or do you want to go murder yourself right now? Okay, that was not a word.
I can edit everything.